For a time, we tried to contact him by radio, but no response.
Yes, y'all. Welcome in to episode 48 of the Dumb Marks podcast. And much like Sasha Banks last night on SmackDown, the blueprint, the architect, the Morpheus of this ship is back, bitches. I take 1 week off, and you fools run amok.
I'm about to draw myself out on here.
Jeez Louise. I had to take a little family day last week. Went out and did some stuff with the fam. Good time. Little under the weather all week long. First time catching a cold in a year and a half, and man, that shit wiped me out like it was the flu. Been popping Alka-Seltzer tablets, vitamin C, like it's just insane. Sleeping, had to call off work a couple days this week. Like it was nuts. No COVID, none of that. So we got all that rolled out, which is good. But still, it was unexpected and definitely like not looking forward to getting back into the swing of that, especially with the school year coming up and my kids going back into the building. So yeah, there was a lot of Lysol spray and wipes around the house.
Your family didn't quarantine you to the basement or anything?
I took myself into the basement. Okay. Actually. Yeah, I stayed out of everybody's way. As you can tell, I still sound like shit. So I apologize for the audio of my voice as you guys listen in this week. But how's everybody doing? Everybody good? Good week?
I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Full disclosure, pull the curtain back. Pre-production, I did not send anything over this week. I do have topics and was saving stuff off during the week, but I'll guide this ship along and we'll clear through the waters and get into stuff like we normally do. So, with that being said, I think the first thing that I saw, which is very interesting, but Scarlett Johansson suing Disney.
I did see that.
Yeah, Disney shot back too and said what? Like, you're making enough money. Like came out, what they say? Like you made like $20 million or something.
Yeah, but her attorneys and law team and everything was like, you cost me upwards of 50.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it.
So yeah, this is interesting because it's the first one, and we don't know what these actors' contracts are tied into and what language they have. Obviously, the little bit of details that came out with this is that there's stuff written into it just like there would be with any athlete's contract, where you hit certain benchmarks or bonuses, or in this case, you hit certain box office dollar amounts.
Mm-hmm.
You get a percentage of that on the back end. Which is understandable, and given the amount of money that Marvel movies make, that's not a bad deal to sign if you're one of the main actors in a Marvel film, right? You know that they're going to draw on the box office. Well, when you have Disney Plus now, and even though things are open back up, it's not full. People are still a little hesitant, I guess, but yeah, it cost her some coin apparently. So we'll see how this plays out. This is going to be very interesting. Not that it's a landmark case, but you know what I mean. Like this is something that people in the movie industry and that need to keep an eye on, because it can set up things, how things are negotiated contract wise and everything else moving forward.
Yeah, because I saw that Emma Stone is talking to her attorney team too. For the same thing with Cruella.
I had heard other people talking about that, like with like HBO releasing a lot of their stuff, like Warner Brothers releasing on HBO Max. I've heard other people talking about this. This is the first lawsuit that I think I've seen. So
and
money.
And from the amount of money that drew the first weekend on Disney Plus, like when subscriptions are as high as they are and globally, like that's a significant amount of money that she may have lost out on. And not to mention the fact that, we won't deep dive into all this because we like to keep it light and fun on this show. But when you get into, actors versus actresses and men versus women and the pay discrepancy and everything else, that like there's a bigger, a bigger part of the iceberg that's rolled into this, so to speak. So I will definitely keep an eye on it, just because I don't know if the industry is changing for sure, but I mean, like, the more streaming platforms we have, whether it's Disney, with HBO Max, Paramount, like Boss Baby 2 came out on Peacock, like, you know what I mean? Like all these things, it's gonna affect people's bank accounts one way or the other, whether it's the companies making extra money and the actors and actresses not getting enough or what. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
A lot of them had pretty much said, okay, we're doing this through 2021 and then not doing any more. Now you're starting to hear the rumors of all these companies saying, okay, we might extend this through 2022 now. So this could become the new norm for movies, but
I mean,
we'll just have to see.
Could be on the way back in houses, so
yeah, they just gotta write it in their contracts.
Yeah,
like, hey, I want some of that Disney Plus money too with the movie.
Yeah, but and then you got to be of a certain ilk to get that too, right? You know what I mean? So like, what are you going to do with like your Pixar movies or you know what I mean, where the animated movies, like when Raya and the Last Dragon came out, the amount of money, now granted that was more in the time of like on lockdown, but like are the main voice actors in that going to be able to go and negotiate that, or is it just going to be strictly like the live action actors that are going to be able to get that written in? Like there's a lot to be figured out and worked itself out, and this is definitely the beginning. I don't see it ending anytime soon.
But does it feel tone deaf at the time, given that we're like fresh out of a pandemic?
Not. I don't know if I would say tone deaf would be the right word to describe it. I get where you're going, like what you're saying. You're arguing 50 million versus 30 million. Like that's money that none of us are going to see. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, it's no, like, I equate it to an athlete's contract. It's no different than, missing out on a $2 million bonus for whatever, whenever, or you got $1 million whenever you should have gotten $4 million. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people that work for her that are going to take a nice chunk of that money out. So that's probably what she's fighting for.
And I mean, from everything that I know of, that I've read, like this was it for her as far as Black Widow goes. So like she wants to cash in. If this is it, she's not playing the character anymore. Like,
and burn the bridge.
I mean,
we were talking about that a little bit last week, that that I guess Marvel wants her back for more of these movies, but this could change things, or this could change the contract. If that was her last movie under contract, maybe the next one does focus more if it goes onto Disney Plus to get more of those residuals.
And then, like, how do you negotiate that if you're looking at like Avengers, when you have all these big name people in it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you divvy up the splits? Like, there's so much. This to me is like, Joe Budden talks about it on his podcast all the time. In that, but like, what's the value of a stream? Like, nobody can, in the music industry, nobody can pinpoint and tell you one stream equals X amount. Like, nobody has been able to figure that out yet. And music has been streaming for how many years now? So like, if now movies are going to get into this, it's going to take a long time to figure out if it will ever get figured out. But I don't know where this goes as far as if they settle, if they don't, if bridges are burned. But just something that caught my eye that's going to be interesting, and see how it plays out.
I think you can evaluate it more on Disney Plus, like with the Black Widow one, because they're paying for that premiere access. So that's an instant $30 right there. So you can take a percentage of that. But I completely understand like where you're saying for the streaming, because that's very difficult.
Yeah. So, but that's what caught my eye coming into the week. As far as that stuff goes, I watched some stuff during the week, but nothing else really stood out. That was my big topic I wanted to get into in the intro here. Let's go around the horn. No pun intended. What do you guys got for other stuff this week?
I have 4 gaming topics. Earlier in the week, EA announced that Dead Space remake is coming back. So Dead Space, the franchise that was big on PS3 and Xbox, what was it, Xbox One? Something like that, is coming back. EA bought Visceral Games. That's who Dead Space was for, and they shut them down. So the IP was gone forever, but they finally coming back. Not sure when it's going to come out or not, but they're going to be made by the developer who made Star Wars Squadron. So that's EA Motive. Just a couple hours ago, Horizon Forbidden West is being delayed until next year. So there goes another delayment on the Sony first party side.
That's good.
Rockstar, the company that makes Grand Theft Auto, they said Grand Theft Auto 6 will not be coming out until more systems are in households and not consumed by the scalpers. So they said as long as the scalpers got their hands on the systems, the GTA 6 will be delayed indefinitely. They want everybody to give a chance to play the game. And it's not cross-generational either. It's all for the new systems. So not enough people get new systems. GTA staying on the shelf. And the biggest thing that came out this week, I'm not going to get too much into it, but the California Department of Fair and Employment Housing has sued Activision. And that department really checks every company in California to make sure the workplace is safe. And they did a 2-year-long investigation on Activision and saying that the place is ran down. And they filed sexual harassment suits on all of them, on every single CEO or boss in the company. And again, I'm not going to get into it. If you want to read it, go online, because I don't want to get us kicked off of YouTube of the stuff that's been going on in the office, out the office. I mean,
it's like the Washington football team stuff.
Yeah, man, it's Me Too at its worst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you want to read about it, you can read about it.
Can't have it.
The staff, they did a big walkout on Thursday, saying that we're not going to make games or that stuff anymore because of the bosses and what they're doing to the females in those office and that stuff. All the big time gamers who support Activision, they are boycotting their games. So nobody's going to buy any of those games that are coming out this year, which includes Call of Duty. So basically, the Office has become the Call of Duty, the Call of Duty toxicity community, the whole community. So yeah, so if you want to read about it, you can go ahead and read about it. I'm not going to tell you about it because we're not getting kicked off of YouTube. And that's it for gaming.
So you were talking about GTA. I did see this week that PlayStation announced the PS5 has sold 10 million consoles so far. And the joke with it was 10 million have sold, scalpers have 9 million.
Which is about right.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how many really are sitting on in scalpers' possession, but I'm sure it's probably a decent amount still.
Yeah, they said out of that 10 million, 30% of it is sat on by scalpers.
Jeez. It's ridiculous. I mean, this has been a problem with tickets for years.
Mm-hmm.
Where scalpers just pick up tickets and sell them at a higher resale value, and now it's just everything online.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like I keep saying, until they allow them to sell them in stores on the shelves, it's not going to change.
Yeah. The only other thing that I had was, we were talking about Marvel before. Hawkeye, they announced this week, is going to premiere on November 24th. So we have What If starting on August 11th, and that'll be a cartoon series. The trailer came out a few weeks ago on that, and then Hawkeye afterwards.
And we have Suicide Squad next week.
Yeah.
Any hopes? Any?
I'll watch it.
They say it's what is it? The highest
rated
DC or Marvel movie ever.
Yeah, DC Marvel movie ever. All
Marvel
right.
too? No.
Yes, they.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coming from the critics.
See, now,
I think what was it, a 98 overall the last I saw? When
Yeah.
they
On
first
Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. On Rotten
Donald,
Tomatoes.
what'd you say?
Critics
We'll
scored
see.
98.
now you just hyped it, and now I'm gonna go in with a bad attitude.
We'll see. That's it. We'll see.
I saw the first one. We'll see.
I enjoyed it. But was it the best DC movie? No.
Not even close.
All right. Anything else intro wise? We can hop straight into the shits and giggles.
You guys good?
If you like snacks,
The hell did you get that?
look, you post you like popcorn on Facebook, and people show up with stuff. So I would eat popcorn all week.
Hey, I did see, since you brought up snacks real quick, I did see Xbox and Krispy Kreme are into some type of collaboration. So they're going to have Xbox donuts coming out, and it's like the Xbox logo on the donut. I didn't look into it, but then I guess there's also a Halo one coming out. So I don't know if you're going to get more. Yeah.
Did Microsoft buy Krispy Kreme?
I don't know.
Where can you get them fresh anymore?
Did I see? I think around here, Washington's the closest.
That's the closest, yeah.
Yeah. Not making a trip down to Washington for donuts.
No. Though they are good.
You can buy our donuts, but you can't buy our system.
All right, shall we go bell to bell?
Yep, let's hit it. All right, bell to bell this week. A lot of stuff went down. I'm going to start with a generalized overall topic, which will cover at least the big two companies, and then we can filter down into stuff that we saw on the shows this week, specifically that you want to get into, and any other details. But Vince McMahon on his earnings call this week said, "I don't consider AEW competition in the way I considered WCW back in the day. Not even anywhere near close to that." With the rumors surrounding Daniel Bryan and CM Punk coming into AEW, obviously AEW announced this week on their show that they're running the United Center in Chicago August 20th for the second Rampage. Do you guys consider AEW competition for WWE?
I consider any wrestling competition for WWE. I know WWE, because I listen to these earning calls, they consider, especially when they launched the network, they considered everything competition. You know, they said any other streaming service, anything. They go, if you're on TV, we consider you competition. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But your core business is professional wrestling. So anything that goes after that is competition for you. Just because they don't consider a competition doesn't mean it's not.
Now, AEW's done one between 1 million and 1.2 million the last 3 weeks. They've hit peaks on certain segments throughout the show, and that Raw for a while now was drawing 1.4 on a weekly basis. SmackDown tends to be higher, but do you think with signing Punk and Bryan that will shift? Just like back in the day with WCW, there was this shift, and we got into the 83 weeks with WCW taking over in the ratings and everything else. But do you see any of that coming down the pipeline for AEW as far as catching or even surpassing WWE in the ratings.
TV wise, this competition as a whole, no.
It-
As a whole company, it's nowhere near close.
So-
for me, just personally for me, I see competition as you going head to head with each other. So I don't see Dynamite and Raw going head to head on the same night.
Mhm.
So to me, that's not competition. I don't see Dynamite going head to head with SmackDown. So to me, that's not competition.
Now there were rumors, and I forget who I saw, but looking into it a little bit. So after the death match on Wednesday night, WWE specifically reached out to Domino's about pulling ads from TNT, based off of the death match and not wanting to be associated with that type of programming. Domino's is a huge advertiser on TNT network overall. So like, you can't say, one hand you can't come out and say, oh, we don't consider them competition, and on the other hand, you're reaching out to advertisers to get them to pull advertising money from the shows, and that Domino's was the only sponsor that said anything regarding the death match and how it came out. I think that was more specifically to do with the whole pizza cutter across the forehead while the advertisement for Domino's was running, which was I don't know if you could specifically time that up perfectly or if that was just a coincidence of all coincidences. But yeah, I don't.
I think Vince won't take them as competition until they're taking money from him. And that was where he really considered WCW competition, because they start taking money from his pocket.
But can they take money from his pocket if they're not running on the same night, like Donald said?
It would depend on the fan. I think I know they're not on the same night, but if fans just don't flock to WWE, don't go would prefer to give their money to AEW instead of WWE, that could hurt him in the long run. But are fans going to do that? Or are they just going to give their money to? Hey, WWE's coming into Pittsburgh. WWE was just here in Pittsburgh. AEW's coming here to Pittsburgh. Did a fan say, I'm saving my money for one? Or are they like, oh, they're both coming, I'm going to both?
Okay, well, to that point, AEW is running United Center on the 20th, the weekend of SummerSlam. How many people either were on the fence or thinking about buying tickets to SummerSlam, changed their mind, and now bought tickets to that Rampage in the United Center? They sold 10,000 seats so far out of the first block of available tickets, which is pretty damn good out of the gate.
Yeah, it is. But on the earnings call this week, WWE Nick Khan said that for Vegas they've sold about 40 out of the 45,000 tickets for that event. So
I can see that happening because that's SummerSlam. That's your second biggest pay-per-view of the year. So that's nothing surprising to me at all.
Mm-hmm. And especially the way they're touting it right now to be like a WrestleMania. Like they're trying to build it up for that outside and everything. I can see it. And they actually added more seats. So they had
pushed it
like
back.
half arena, and then they've now expanded it back a little bit more. So they added some extra seats. So we'll see if they sell out or not. But
I just don't know if you'll ever truly like. To me, stuff like this it shouldn't matter. Like, if you're a fan of both companies and you like watching both companies,
then watch both
companies. Yeah. Why do we constantly have to float the narrative out here? And it's I get it. Like it drives clicks, it drives ratings, it drives views, and all that other stuff. But why can't you just watch what you want to watch? Why do you have to pick a side?
Very true.
And there's so much wrestling now. If you don't like one, there's something out there that you can find.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like for me personally, AEW gives me one type of wrestling I like. WWE gives me another type of wrestling I like. It's like I'm okay with both.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like right now, I watch out of everything this week. I enjoyed AEW. That was probably my second favorite show for the week. MLW was my favorite, Battle Riot 3. So it's like there's something out there, and you can find something. It's just so much. There's something every day.
All right. Well, with that, kind of bleed out into the shows this week. With the rumors to be with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson coming into AEW, it got out late towards the end of the week that Hangman is no longer the scheduled opponent for Omega at All Out. If that spot's given to Punk or to Bryan Danielson, is AEW making a mistake?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely agree. 110%. 110%.
It comes back to my legend stake. Like, you just can't jump in and just take a title whenever this slow burning story was going on for a while.
And if it goes to Punk, you becoming the guy you hate.
Yeah. If you're not ready to put the title on Hangman, for whatever reason, maybe
just say that then.
Like if they want to keep this Kenny Omega story going for a little bit, okay, that's fine, whatever. But if you do that if you're doing this to put one of those guys in that spot, I don't like that. It's Donald's Legends take.
I like the swerve on Wednesday night on having them lose and not win, because then you still have a couple more weeks for hurdles for him to overcome. Mm-hmm. You can tell that story and it still works. Like I get it. I like the fact that they didn't just automatically win and we go, okay, now we know what's set for 6 weeks down the road, 5 weeks down the road. I absolutely hate the fact that they may go in another direction. Now I don't know that they would give it automatically to Punk or to Bryan. Like that's just what people are assuming.
No.
And you know what assuming means, but there's no other story to tell besides that. Like, and granted, things do change and everything else, and maybe they're saving it for a different time, and maybe, if they debut Punk and have him coming in and whatever, like, you don't want that to overshadow. But honestly, with the story that they've told so far over the course of the company being in existence, I don't care who you bring in. If Hangman kicks out of the one-winged angel and hits a buckshot lariat at All Out and becomes champion, that place is going to go ape shit.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter who you bring in. So why pull him out of the main event? It makes no sense.
And this could be a problem. And I've been thinking about it lately. Remember, listen to how well the crowd's interacting with Hangman.
Yes.
Really, since Double or Nothing. When the crowd came back, they've been all for him. And if you don't give them, Hangman for the title at some point, is this Daniel Bryan 2.0?
We want
it. Sometimes you can. Bully Ray likes to say it a lot on Busted Open. Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to do anything else at this point in time. You have it laid out. You've had it mapped out. You've built it beautifully.
Yeah.
When's the last time we saw a story go almost 2 years in the making before the payoff?
And I was excited for it because it was almost a 2-month build, just building for Dynamite. Right. I mean, we'll see this week what direction they go in, because that's the internet rumor. But I'm hoping Hangman isn't taken out of the picture for All Out. But
all right. Well, since we're on AEW, let's just get into specifics from Wednesday night. Your takes overall. Like I said, they did around 1.1 million. Spiked obviously during different segments. The death match did not hurt them at all as far as viewership goes. Actually, women showed up a lot. If you look at the breakdowns of the ratings, the female demographic tuned in and really enjoyed Dynamite on Wednesday night. So with that being said, what you guys think of the show overall? Hits, misses, anything you would have did differently?
Can somebody catch Brandon not Cutler? Who is it? Stu Grayson?
Yeah.
Nobody caught him. It was
You definitely heard that thud.
you saw everybody running around the ring to get set up for it, and then he does the move, and I'm like, I tweeted out immediately. I'm like, nobody caught him. What the fuck? And then for him to pop back up and just continue on and then hit another aerial move on Gallows.
Yeah.
I thought that was his out before he did the spot.
Man.
I thought he was just going to limp off and then get count out. He went back up.
Soon as he hit, Silver ran right over to him.
Checked on him immediately.
That Gallows spot, I thought he was going to slip that whole time because he had a tough time getting on the board. So.
Yeah. There was somebody in that match. I think it was one of the Jacksons, and I could be wrong, but they caught them.
What'd you guys think of the Space Jam entrance?
Terrible.
I didn't mind it. I like it.
I hate seeing people who can't play basketball. I hate it with a passion.
Well, and people in the timeline were just like ranting and raving at how amazing. Now the Hangman and Dark Order's entrance was good. That was fucking good.
Yeah,
like
I loved the video with it.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
Yeah.
That was good. That was really good.
But I'm like, if any other wrestling company, i.e. WWE, did this, people would be killing them for it.
Yeah,
absolutely killing them for it. Like, and somebody tweeted back like, "Oh, you mean the time the New Day came out on whatever game it was that was sponsoring the pay-per-view and dressed up like the characters in the game?" I'm like,
that's Final Fantasy.
I'm like, the game was the sponsor of the pay-per-view. Space Jam wasn't sponsoring Fight for the Fallen.
And that's their whole getup. They do cosplay every week.
Yeah, like they did the advertisement, they did the spot and everything else. I was like, can we stop just praising every single thing that they do? Like,
did it add anything? No. Did I hate it? No.
It was very cringy to me.
It looked good on paper. It sounded good in a meeting, but when it came down to execution,
it was terrible.
It didn't work.
You could tell Omega never picked the basketball up in his life.
Neither of them.
But I agree. Out of the two, I mean, the Dark Order one with Hangman was much better. That was the perfect thing to kick off the show. I thought
that was good. Yeah.
I'm upset the FTR Proud and Powerful had to end the way it did. Hope Cash is okay. There were some conflicting reports immediately after the show. Actually, what happened? Nothing really else has come out. I saw some reports said that he sliced his arm between the metal on the post and the steps or whatever, and was bleeding out. Other people said that he landed and like his forearm broke and that came through his skin and that's what was causing the so I don't know. I know Dax came on and was pissed because people were reaching out to him and he said, listen, if all you marks reach out to me to check on Cash just so you can write it in your story and aren't actually concerned about it, go fuck yourselves. Like, I was legitimately concerned that my best friend was going to bleed out on Wednesday night, and they went home immediately. You heard the ref on the mic, hey, let's go, and they ended it because of how bad it was. So hopefully it's not something too serious. Hopefully he's able to come back and doesn't miss too much time. But I was looking forward to that match the most just because those are two of my favorite tag teams, and I knew they were going to give me tag team wrestling done right. And up until that point, the match was good. I enjoyed it. Just sad to see that it had to end in that fashion.
So with Pride and Powerful being part of Jericho's crew, does it make sense to have Conan with them?
It does if you're good. If Fozzie's going on tour now, Jericho's come out and said that it won't impact his schedule as far as Dynamite goes. Don't know how much you would see him on Rampage. Especially if they're going to make Rampage, the third hour where you get to see different acts. Lord knows they have the roster to do that, which is a good thing because you can build other people up. We don't need to constantly see everybody every single week on both shows. So maybe we get the end of the Inner Circle soon. I know AEW is big on factions, but at some point, I like Pride and Powerful with Conan. Obviously, it goes back to the LAX days.
Yeah.
I like the characters that they portray whenever they're with that group. They all three of them work well together. I don't think it takes away anything right now because it's kind of like Conan and Tully. So you're getting that dynamic mixed in with that feud specifically between the two groups. And, Tully's not the leader of the Pinnacle, MJF is. Tully's just a part of it. So Conan's not the leader of Inner Circle. He's just a part of it because of Pride and Powerful. So I don't think it does anything to take away from the group or hurt that faction overall. Anything else from Wednesday night? No.
Nothing I can think of.
Are you excited to see Juventud Guerrera back on the juice, back on TNT?
Hopefully he can still go. I haven't seen Hoovy in
Yeah, I haven't seen Hoovy in years.
It's been a while.
Hoovy still goes.
He still competes?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Hoovy still goes. Yeah, so he's still Hoovy. So it'll be exciting to see him back in front of a live audience in the States. But yeah, I'm excited because next week we get to learn what the fourth labor is whenever we're live in Pittsburgh on the 11th.
It's true.
So I have no idea where they go with it. I love what they've done with this story so far. They've gone in a completely different direction than what I were thinking they were going to go.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be one of the Pinnacle each week.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Right, and they set that up. They gave you that swerve. Week one they put Spears out there, and you're like, okay, they're going to run through and do different things with each of the members, and then, nope, we get Nick Gage this week, and then Hoovy next week. So
Spears had to job it for the.
Of course. And
Are you actually sticking up for Spears?
And please, AEW, can we not have a street fight next week or any death match or something? Like enough is enough.
I
didn't watch it either because I just had enough of it.
I get. They were running these string of specials, right? Because it's live audience back. You're first month on the road in a year and a half, so you were doing Road Rager. You had Fight for the Fallen, Fighter Fest Night 1 and 2. So you get this month of specials where you're having stipulations and everything else. I think now moving forward, besides the labors of Jericho, I think you'll start to see it go back to just, I don't want to say a card full of normal matches, but I think it'll kind of tone down a little bit as far as special matches and stipulations. Who knows? Maybe not. I mean, this may be.
Yeah.
If you want to maximize fans being in attendance for as long as they can be in attendance, maybe you continue to run these specials or have a more heavily stacked card with match stipulations and everything else because it's going to get people into the building. Because you got to maximize that revenue as much as you can. We don't know what's going to happen with COVID and possible shutdowns, mask mandates, the whole 9 yards, whatever the case may be. But
right
yeah,
now there's no special for Pittsburgh. It's just still advertised as Dynamite, but we'll see next week if they change that.
But Pittsburgh gets the first Rampage, so I think that's where the. I think that's
something will happen.
Something will happen for us besides the labor of Jericho, but. We'll be down there both nights, so if you're down there, you see us, shout us out, check us out. We'll be in attendance there. Anything else AEW wise?
The U.S. IWGP will be over in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, it'll be here in the U.S. It's just a New Japan show. Yeah, there's a show I think in L.A.
It'll be on New Japan Strong, which is on Fight TV. That airs Friday nights.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the event. I think it's going to be at the Coliseum called Resurgence.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on August 14th. Jay White and David Finlay are wrestling for the Never Openweight title. That story's been played out on Impact since Jay White came out on Impact at Slammiversary. Rumor to be is that Moxley and Tanahashi will be at All Out.
That'll be a good match.
So that seed was planted during Moxley's promo this week.
That'd be good to see a big New Japan star come over.
Right. Yeah. Miro again had the line of the night. The only two things I'm motivated by: the power of my God and a double jointed wife. Continues to crush it in this Redeemer gimmick. Short, sweet, to the point. They're like 45 seconds to a minute and a half at the most promos, and he's hitting lines, making things come across. It's keep it simple. That's all we need to do. Keep it simple. That might be the theme of this segment this week. Keep it simple, because there's some things that went down on other shows this week that don't really make much sense. So,
who do you want to see Miro go against next?
Shoddy Lee. Is that who's going against next?
Lee Johnson is next. Is this coming week?
Well, I should say, who do you want to see Miro face it all out?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Because I haven't got anybody yet.
I don't know.
Cassidy?
Uh,
Jungle Boy?
I was gonna go with Jungle Boy.
But are they going to win?
No, Miro's gonna hold that title for a while.
Again, yeah. Don't give them a title shot if they're not going to win again.
But having that title shot losing that doesn't hurt them though.
Not now, because they're so over.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I think with Miro, like, you're building him to be that killer of the champion, destroying everybody until you get somebody that can take it off of him and it means something. But yeah, I don't know who they'll run with going into All Out. Obviously, that will be on the card. It's just who they want to put in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was kind of all I had for Dynamite this past week. Other stuff went into it. So let's get in the main roster WWE wise.
I'm over it. Don't even say it. I'm over it.
Just don't understand how they book shows and why they do the shit that they do. Monday night, you announce a triple threat for SummerSlam with the women, and then you have Charlotte and Nikki in a number one contenders match. And it's like, what are we doing? It makes no sense. You already announced the freaking match. So why are we having a number one contenders match if we already know the three participants in the match? Like, what does that do? Nothing.
It's just like the last two pay-per-views when we had our prediction shows about that title. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't.
The show was bookended terribly.
It's to the point it's like a blip on the map. Like, I don't care about that title or that division until they do something better with it.
I read the reviews on Raw, the recaps and that, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm glad I didn't tune in at all Monday night. Like,
when I watch like a new show on TV, I always give it like at least 3 weeks to try. So I was just like, okay. I was like, Raw's back with fans. I'm gonna give it a couple weeks to see what I think. First week I watched live. This week I watched on delay, and I think I ended up stopping at some point, and I didn't even finish it. And just like, Raw's gonna end up getting cut for me again.
Where'd you stop at?
What'd you say?
Where'd you stop at?
Honestly, I don't even remember.
I mean, I think like Raw, the most entertaining things this week on Raw was Riddle again.
Riddle.
The Miz absolutely drenching Byron Saxton with the dripstick. That should happen every single week, just because it's Saxton. And I don't need to hear him on commentary.
I have to ask you something quick. What do you really like about Riddle? What's he doing differently now than before? Because the past couple weeks I've watched it, he's doing nothing different for me than what he was doing before.
You missed the segments between him and Randy. You missed all that.
You missed all that. So like, like to you, it looks like he's doing the same stuff. And granted, I mean, some of it is, but like you don't have the backstory for why he's doing what he's doing and why he's acting the way he's acting, or his promos, talking about missing Randy and call me Randy and come back Randy and everything else. Like, which I'm surprised Orton's been off TV for 5 weeks now, 6 weeks now. So, it's the only bright spot that I can point to, honestly.
To me, it's him, Lashley, and I enjoyed Ali and Mansoor.
Now that I gave
storyline going to that,
I like that too. With them, I like the Ali. We're not a tag team, like playing off of that. But again, that's kind of similar to the Orton and Riddle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, do you have the same writer writing for those two teams? Because you're kind of telling the same story, even though it's being done in different fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The premise is the same. The details are just being filled in differently.
Yeah. Ali actually reminded me more of like the Hangman with that, because Hangman said, I've tried the team thing before, it didn't go my way, and that's kind of that's what that reminded me whenever Ali said that we're not a team. It's like, he's saying, I tried doing the team thing a couple months ago, it didn't go over very well.
You have, and I know Jeff Hardy testing positive for COVID was a hit to the story. But you have Lee versus Cross, and you have Cross win. So you have Keith Lee debut, lose to Lashley, get overshadowed by Goldberg. Then the next week you have him lose to Cross, who lost to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds the week before. What are we doing?
Well, didn't Cross lose to Lee before? Or not the other way around? Lee lose to Cross before?
When they were NXT, yeah.
In NXT, he lost the title to him, but I mean,
you still can't overcome that.
Nah, come on now, you can't do that. Especially whenever Raw does anything that happened on NXT doesn't matter. It never happened. You can't.
They've acknowledged NXT.
You can't.
After 2 weeks heavily.
You're burying Keith Lee.
That's what it is.
6 months off of television, he comes back. He loses to Lashley, which I'm fine him losing to Lashley. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. But don't have Goldberg come out and overshadow him after he loses to Lashley, because then you don't even remember Keith Lee being in the match. And then you have him lose to Cross. Okay, granted, NXT champion. However, you just had Cross get rolled up and lose to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds the week before. So it doesn't help Lee at all to go out there and lose to Cross the following week.
Didn't you just ask what are they doing with Cross?
Cross, now the story, the details and supposed details came out is that the original plan was for Cross to go on this losing streak on the main roster until Scarlett shows up. And then he becomes Cross because Scarlett's there. Which, okay, I get. It's kind of like Andrade, Zelina Vega stuff where he was losing until Zelina showed up and got his shit together, and now, you know what I mean? Okay, fine. Well, if you're going to do that, then run with it. You know what I mean? Instead of putting Shelton and Cedric against Lashley,
I enjoyed that.
Why don't you have, Shelton against Cross and have Shelton just step in for Hardy and do what Hardy was going to do?
Because you're building up the Hurt Business reunion.
No, you're not. Not by having them go in a triple threat against each other.
Especially a squash.
To me, that was just like, those two didn't need to be in the ring against each other based off of what was done the previous week. It did nothing for either competitor. You had Cross.
It didn't look good to me.
Beat Lee, and it's like, okay, he beat Lee. And then you had Lee go, another loss.
And you're done, yeah.
You're just coming back. Like,
he'll just be in his normal spot. Like where he was before he left, he's right back there.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be no difference with Keith Lee.
I don't really care about Alexa Bliss and Eva Marie, the Lily Lucian and all that other crap. Don't really care about that.
The women's storylines are so bad.
Yeah, I don't have no idea what they're doing on Raw. It's just
Next.
and there's nothing on that show that gets me excited to want to tune in. I don't care how good the matches are. Like it's not. There's nothing there to draw me into the show, to get me to the point where like, oh, that was a good match. There's so much shit around the good matches that the good matches don't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I need another 6-year break off of it, like I did before.
You ain't kidding.
SmackDown. People are looking at SmackDown with rose-colored glasses just because of how bad Raw is. SmackDown last night, while there were parts of it being entertaining, I didn't find the show overall to be like a great show. People were hyping it up like it was an amazing episode of SmackDown.
It was standard.
I will tell you, the fans all over are just overhyping. Live fans are overhyping a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the first time back. Like you're gonna get that. You're gonna get that on
post shows.
You're gonna get that on. You're gonna get that with any program that has live fans. You know, I watched Impact on Thursday night, and they were popping for shit that normally you wouldn't pop for.
You get a holy shit for a suplex. That's
But SmackDown, let's get into the whole contract Cena everything from last night.
Look,
I did like
it was all where I wanted it to go.
I did like Reigns' facial expressions when everybody was picking the contract up. That was funny.
I'm trying to understand how this works, and this is me, using my paralegal background and the contracts. Oh, but yet they validated it and it's official. What the fuck was that? First off,
anybody can sign a contract at any time, basically, is what they're saying now.
Where's
whoever's name is on it? Whoever's name is on it.
Oh, yeah, and Cena just wrote Cena and then signed it. So because it's Cena and then he signed it, they're good with
legal
that.
and binding.
Over top of Finn's name too.
Yeah.
The one who was printed in the contract.
I hated everything about it.
I like the Corbin. If it wasn't SummerSlam, if it would have signed that contract, I would have loved it.
I enjoyed Cena's opening, and then once Corbin came out, I think that ruined it.
Not that. Corbin's part of the contract signing.
No,
the whole thing Corbin ruined.
Anything Corbin is bad.
I loved it.
Corbin has been tremendous.
If it wasn't SummerSlam, I would have taken it.
Corbin has been one of the people shit all over Corbin, but this is what I'll say about Baron Corbin. He has been one of the best characters that they've had. Doesn't matter what gimmick they give him. He buys all into it and delivers on it consistently. Doesn't matter what character you give him.
I'll give him that.
And he's when he was King Corbin and running through all that and everything else, he got booed. He got booed tremendously. Why? Because that's what you do to an individual.
He is a method actor.
The only thing I like Corbin was when he was in the Streets of Rage outfit. GM Corbin.
Do I care for the gimmick? No, but does he commit to stuff? Yes, he does.
Oh,
I turn him off.
But no, no, I don't buy him.
I like Corbin, what he's doing right now. I didn't like him in the opening with Cena, but I get how they tied it into it later on with the contract signing. So I understand that. I just didn't feel like Cena cuts that promo. That's the other thing we need to stop doing. Like,
yes,
it was a good promo, and yes, the promo Mike Dust is officially off, and Cena's hitting his groove, but it's not a scathing promo. And he referenced
in the top 5 of his best promos of all time.
Yeah. He referenced the man's name, his government name, instead of his WWE name, and attacked the man personally. But it wasn't like
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not a top 5 Cena promo at all.
Not at all.
It's just the fact that like you can tell Cena's not scripted, so you can tell, you can feel it, and everything else. Where anybody else out there, you can tell they're scripted. And even if Cena is given scripted and he does have some bullshit lines, Cena throughout his career has been the best at taking those bullshit lines and delivering them the best.
Yeah.
If you were to give that to anybody else, it would sound way worse than what it does coming out of Cena's mouth.
Yeah.
And I thought Roman bounced back good whenever he was sitting there talking to Finn. Like I thought he answered the bell. That's 2 weeks in a row. I didn't think Roman was completely overshadowed by Cena on the microphone. And the last time those two got into it, he was completely dog walked out of the arena on the microphone.
We just need that face-to-face culmination. See how they work.
Right. But I would have liked to see when Corbin picked up the contract and he went to sign it and he pushed the button. I would like to see the pen explode on his shirt. So now he just continues. So he has the ketchup stain or the pizza stain. He has the ink blot stain, and he's just like keep that moving. Like
I like that. Roman's face during that whole thing was hilarious. It was, especially when Corbin picked the contract up. He was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, like what are you doing to Finn?
Welcome back to the main roster.
If this leads to Finn versus Corbin at SummerSlam, I'm going to. Yeah.
So there was something I saw this week that I was really surprised on. That Finn turned 40. Like I didn't think he was 40 years old.
I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah.
Wow.
So okay, Finn's on a limited amount of time now. We're still treating Finn on the main roster like he's this young guy that has all this time on his hands. He's not going to be wrestling for another 10 years. And it goes back to that question: what are you doing with Finn? He's probably got another good 5 years because he's only, I think AJ is 42. So AJ is at the point where he talks about winding down now. So Finn's probably not too far behind in that conversation. It's like you got to do something with the guy before he's done.
Well, I said this is a way to get a fatal 4-way at SummerSlam so Corbin eats the pin and everybody else is safe.
I don't want to. I'm tired of multi-man matches in main events.
But they're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that can't be your SummerSlam main event.
I just hate how they got to Cena and Reigns. It's just the stupidest way ever.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you let Bianca and Sasha main event,
or it could be Bobby and Goldberg.
So
no,
don't say that.
That's a drop.
I got myself out.
cover that half of the screen.
So Sasha made a return last night and gets in the ring and immediately is all babyfacey, huggy, best friends, and everything else. And I tweeted out, "Man, that SB win just automatically makes you a babyface." So what the hell are we doing? And I hit send, and as soon as I hit send, I'm like, "Oh, you dumb Mark! She's gonna turn on her in the main event." And sure enough, she turned on her in the main event, and we're off to the rematch. Huh?
I didn't see it coming.
You didn't?
You didn't see it coming?
I didn't see it coming.
Oh wow, you got hooked.
Really?
Nope.
Really? You didn't see it
coming? I knew the match was gonna come. I just didn't know she was gonna go full.
The split,
or like anybody that eventually turned. I thought they were gonna go like down the same road they did with WrestleMania, where they're just buddy.
Nah, see, I bought it for that split second where I hit send on that, and then as soon as I hit send, I'm like, they're gonna fucking do it in the main event, and I'm glad they pulled the trigger on it last night.
Yeah.
Instead of drawing it out.
Yeah, don't draw it out. I'm glad they pulled the trigger now. And Bianca, kudos to her. The way she sold that beatdown last night, her facial expressions before they went off the air when she put her back in the bank statement, and she looked like she was damn near in tears. Like, kudos. And maybe this is what Bianca needs to actually become Bianca Belair. Like, I'm tired of from WrestleMania till now. I'm tired of the, oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited and yay. And
When
no.
whenever Carmella and Zelina came out last night, and she was just laughing like the whole time, smiling and laughing. It's just like, what is this doing? Like, why is like you said, why is she just happy to be here?
Because that's a WWE babyface.
Like, no, like, yeah, I agree. I hope that this finally does click over, because that's the way the whole build-up was with her and Sasha for WrestleMania. The match delivered, just the build-up for me didn't.
I actually thought this time she might turn, but not tonight.
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad they did it. I bought into it for the 30 seconds that I hit send out on that tweet, and then I fucking came to the realization that it's Sasha Banks. She doesn't do friendships. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. Chad Gable may be... I don't understand why they don't do anything with him.
I don't get it either.
That was also a highlight of Raw too. Reginald. He's a gymnast. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Hey, the fans are buying into it now.
I know, but you have
it's surprising that the 24/7 championship was on SmackDown.
Well, here we go. You have a 24/7 title match, but I guess there's DQs now. There's rules for 24/7 titles, right? Like anyway,
he fought Truth last week in the match.
But so like whenever they defended an actual match, does it so it automatically goes to actual match rules, and
yeah,
you have disqualifications, count outs, like all that stuff applies.
Yeah,
it'll change week to week.
I've done that before.
but normally they'll announce it before. Like they'll say, okay, this match is being contested, or this match is not being contested under 24/7 rules. Like they'll tell you that before the match happens.
But that's anytime
the match. Last night they just had the match, and Otis comes in with the DQ, and I'm like, okay, I guess we're not.
Anytime there's a regular match, the 24-hour rules don't apply. The 24 hours don't apply. And they shouldn't have to explain that every match now. We should be wrestling fans. And
Chad Gable is a former Olympian while the Olympics are going on, and you have him facing the 24/7 title holder. Why are you not highlighting that? Why have you not built anything to that?
Why haven't they built him, period?
He's somebody that will go elsewhere and will fucking knock the roof off of a place.
The guy has talent.
Yes, he does.
He does, yeah.
He does.
But I mean,
I'm liking this version of Otis too. So
they don't use Sheldon for shit anymore either. They had that little bit with the Hurt Business that was good for him, but other than that,
it's just typical WWE creative.
Yeah.
Who knows? So yeah, SmackDown was a lot of ups and downs for me last night. I'm over the. Can we just please get Dominic Mysterio to turn on his dad already? Jesus Christ! You want to talk about a turn that hasn't happened that needed to happen? Get it over with already.
Get them both out of here.
Can Dominic just be done? Period.
Get them both out of here.
Experiment be over
based off of last night's show, the two things right now, as we stand, just with the ending of the show last night, two matches that I'm most looking forward to going into SummerSlam is Sasha and Bianca, and then Seth and Edge.
Sure,
that's about right.
Agreed.
I was looking forward to Roman and Cena, but the way they did shit last night kind of was like, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna hit pause on that for a week. Let you reset and then see how this plays out.
You want to see Ray and Usos again?
No, I don't want to see
on the
Ray
pre-show again.
The
Mysterios.
Gotta go.
Got to go.
So another woman's term that was just fucking overly in your face. You knew it was coming. Dakota Kai on Tuesday night in NXT.
Didn't see it coming.
What?
You didn't see that coming?
Nah, you're trolling right now.
I'll use the old line of Stevie Wonder saw that coming.
I see. I was expecting her to challenge her like face to face. I didn't see the. I was like, okay, they're going to cut the commercial and then she's going to turn another time. I didn't.
For as well as NXT does turns, as well as they pull them off, and if you go back and you look at the history of how they have people turn on each other, it's been done very well in NXT. This one was probably the worst one that they've done because it was so blatantly obvious.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'm not into this one at all.
I want to see the match, but it was just
Because
like,
it was just a matter of time before she turned. I mean,
the whole in-ring theatrics was just blah to me.
If this gives us the Raquel that we need of just being a dominant person, maybe then I'll get into it. But
this gives them Raquel as the babyface champion, and a woman of her size is a babyface champion. But you don't have a whole lot of heel women. Not really going to work.
Mm-mm.
Because after Dakota, I don't know who else you got on the roster that's a heel that could do something with her besides Frankie Monet.
I like Raquel. I don't have a problem with her. She just hasn't done much for me as champion.
They haven't done much with her.
No.
She's been in tag matches more than anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see how they build the rest of that story. But I thought that turn was way too obvious, and it's you didn't get the, like, they tried selling the, oh my God, she turned. It's like, no, you can't sell that whenever you knew from the time they stepped in the ring and started cutting the promo that it was going to happen.
They got me.
They always get you. You're a WWE.
No, they don't always.
It's still real to you. Huh?
I expect everything. I wasn't expecting the last minute turn. I was expecting her to challenge her right face to face. But that's Dakota.
But this is the same person who got on me whenever MJF and all them like Pinnacle became about. And I was like, oh, they caught me. And you was like, oh man, they got you. What are you talking about?
I saw that.
But you didn't see this. But you didn't see this.
Other highlights from NXT for you guys. Anything?
How does everybody feel about Joe and Cross?
I'm good with it.
You see it?
Cross came out in an interview and said that
Okay with it.
He's because obviously people were, one way or the other with what went down with him and Hardy, but Cross said that like where he's at and what he's doing is exactly what he wants to do. He wants to work both shows. Whether or not that continues, I don't know. We've heard in the past about people pulling double duty on both shows, but that typically doesn't really happen.
As a champion, though, that's kind of horrible.
That's a lot of traveling too.
Yeah.
Especially since the main roster is back on the road.
No, I'm good with it because you know me. I like my house fights. And Joe and Cross will be a stiff, just back and forth. I do find it interesting the fact that Joe, for everything before he got released, was couldn't get cleared to wrestle on the main roster, but yet he's cleared in NXT. So that brings me back to Vince didn't want him in the ring anymore, just like he didn't want Savage in the ring back in the day. Wanted him on commentary, and that's what ultimately led to his release.
Did we need the whole Joe's part of management storyline?
Yeah, because it was a way to get to the point of him being in the match.
But couldn't they have just done that? Because you were at the point of Cross. Regal didn't know how to control Cross. Couldn't Regal just brought in Joe and said, "Here's your next opponent," and build it up from there?
But then,
no, because
with him giving his release and everything, it's just like, okay, so the past couple of weeks just have really meant nothing in a way.
You would have had to held him up if you'd have done that.
Plus, like I just said, everybody from everything knows Joe couldn't get cleared. Everybody thought his wrestling career was over.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring him in as an enforcer and, let him not,
Then you got those good moments between everybody.
Cole, tease some other ones.
once he beats Cross, because I think Joe will beat Cross and Cross will be on the main roster after TakeOver full time. Then you have the Pete Dunne, you have the Johnny Gargano, you have people already lined up. Adam Cole, you have 3 people right there just based off of the interactions that they've done since Joe's been back.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did you build to Joe versus Cross to get him back into the ring, you also set up 3 feuds for him, and they can go in any direction after he wins. Yeah. Joe, to me, doesn't need a long title run in NXT once he beats Cross.
No.
So wherever you want to go afterwards, that's fine. But you're setting, you know what I mean? You have the table set. You can go 3 different ways after Joe wins, and you got Joe to the point where he's in the match and it makes sense. It was the best story that they could have told. Plus, after everybody fought Cross in your house, who else were they going to have challenge him? That was my issue going into that match. I said, if it's all 5 of these guys, you have nobody else to challenge him one-on-one because he just beat your top 5 guys. So now you have somebody else that came in, a different competitor. They're in the match. It makes sense. The story's been told. You'll see how it plays out the rest of the way to TakeOver. And then, go from there afterwards. But I have no problem with what they've done story-wise so far getting to this point.
It'll kind of be interesting because if Joe does win it, and I agree, I think right now that he will become champ. He was the first 2-time champ, and now will be the first 3-time champ in NXT.
Yeah, so stick that up your asshole, Adam Cole, baby.
Who do you want to see ultimately against Joe?
Joe and Pete Dunne really intrigues me.
That's the one I want to see.
That'd be the first one, yeah.
Really intrigues me.
I want to see that on a TakeOver too. I don't want to see that just on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Hey, I loved the tag match with Dunne and Lorcan and Ciampa and Thatcher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing those 2 tag teams go at it, with the belts involved and everything else.
I've seen a spoiler header of the thing saying tag team breaks up and somebody returns. I'm like, please don't be Ciampa and Thatcher. Because it's the only way I'm invested in Thatcher.
They've been great together. For as much as I love Ciampa, and he's been my number 1 guy on NXT for a long time. And I didn't necessarily want to see him in a tag team, but them 2, since they've been together, I've been all in on them too. Plus it helps Ciampa with his neck and not having to do as much, and you know what I mean.
Whenever Rich Holland came out, I was like, when did Pat McAfee get so jacked? It was real quick. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, he had a gruesome injury.
That was nasty.
Looks to be back. Hopefully, he is 100%. We'll see where that goes. What they do with that, because that was the muscle before they had to pull the swerve and do what they did. So yeah, I don't know. I'm good with where NXT is at right now. I do find it interesting, obviously, because SummerSlam's on Saturday. NXT's on Sunday. Jesus, that week. Friday's Last Dance Rampage, potential debut of CM Punk. Saturday SummerSlam, Sunday.
Oh, damn it. I gotta watch SmackDown in the seats. Shit.
You're gonna be at Rampage watching SmackDown.
You did it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. Anything else WWE wise you guys want to cover or get into?
I have a question for NXT. Do you see Carmelo Hayes winning this tournament, or do you see them building 2 stars? Because right now he's just a star by himself.
Yeah. I don't know. Odyssey Jones had another dark match before Raw this week.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Austin Theory wrestled. Indy Hartwell also had a dark match with Aaliyah. And this is, the whole Johnny Gargano and Dexter Lumis with the Lover match. I don't know, man. The way it was so entertaining, want to see them break up, but I get it. And Theory's been rumored to go up to the main roster. I think Vince looks at him and the look alone, Vince would be enamored with. Whether or not he can survive on the main roster, I don't know. He's been great in this role with the way. But back to, not to dive off into the weeds like Eric Bischoff says, but back to your question. I think the goal with this, you want to build up as many people as you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo Hayes obviously was high on a lot of people's list, just based off of what he did with Kushida and Cole. So that I think he's pretty safe. I don't necessarily. I don't think you need to have him win it in order to like officially have him built up.
Yeah.
Odyssey Jones was one of the guys I was high on, and then Trey Baxter, who's wrestling this coming week, was Blake Christian. In Impact, that's where I saw him first, and he's somebody that I think once you guys see him on Wednesday night, if you're not familiar with him, he's somebody
match a few weeks ago
will be a breakout star. Just what he does in the ring alone. I don't know promo wise and everything else because Impact kept him in the ring for the most part. But ring wise, he's tremendous. I like his work a lot. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, the last one had more former name value in it when you had like Cameron Grimes and you had, DJ Z and you had those guys in it. So there was more, like I knew more of those guys going into that tournament than I did of these guys. But I think if you get 2 to 3 guys that you walk away with and feel good about, that's a solid tournament run.
That was it.
Impact this week, another great show for Impact. They've continued to put out consistent television. Stories have been told great. Matches have been really good. Tonight they have the Homecoming special on Impact Plus, which is a really nice, different concept for a special. They're doing a intergender tag team tournament.
Doesn't interest me at all. Since they announced it, that doesn't do anything for me.
I like when WWE did it, so I'll probably enjoy this.
Yeah, so you'll get that tournament, and then you also have a couple additional matches. Josh Alexander will take on Black Taurus for an X Division title, and then there was another match announced. There will be a couple surprises in the tournament. Brian Myers, we don't know who his tag team partner is going to be. Pop. My 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old self was just overglowing with joy on Thursday night. They had the Queen of Extreme, Francine, show up and do a cameo on Impact via FaceTime call with Brian Myers. It was a great backstage segment. It really was.
They have to pay for the cameo?
Probably.
Of course.
Francine brought that up in her promo on Myers. It was tremendous. But no, they did this backstage segment where Tommy Dreamer said something and whatever, and Myers was like, "Oh well, I'll get Beulah McGillicuddy to be my tag team partner," so Sam Bill, who's with Myers now, was like, he read off the old ECW 1-900 number as Beulah's number. Myers was like, that number's been out of service for 24 years. Boy, what are you doing? So then he was like, I got it. And he hits the FaceTime and he turns the screen to the camera. So the shot is over his shoulder. He's talking and Francine is in the camera and she looks tremendous. Still to this day, but she's talking and she's like, just cuts a promo on him. I'm not your first. You want to call Beulah? How many other women did you call before you asked me? And I'm the Queen of Extreme. I manage champions. I don't manage bums and all this stuff. Like just laying into him. But I tweeted out, love seeing the Queen of Extreme on any of my wrestling programming. And Francine liked and retweeted my tweet, so I was officially my ECW crush. We've connected these years later, so I'm now set.
Someone needs to go over to Steven's
turning red there.
spray bottle on him right now.
Brush them off.
Francine was my go-to back then for me. Was always more of a brunette guy myself.
When the picture took the load.
That AOL download, somebody calling and interrupt the download, got to go back and wait another 47 minutes. But it was a good spot. But they've done really good work. So Brad Myers has a surprise opponent for this tournament, and also Deonna Purrazzo has a surprise opponent for this tournament, or a surprise partner for this tournament. So you're getting a surprise woman and a surprise guy coming in for the tournament to keep interest. With that, what else happened on Impact that was good? They set up a match next week, 6-man. You have Omega and the Good Brothers against Sami Callihan, Frankie Kazarian, who made his Impact return on Thursday night, came out and attacked the Elite, and Eddie Edwards. So anybody that follows Impact, you know the story that's been told over the past several years between Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's set up for next week. And then 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from Thursday, they're doing a number one contenders battle royale to see who will face Omega at the next pay-per-view / special, which will then kick off and lead into Bound for Glory. So the Impact's on the upswing.
Yep.
Really good there. I don't have nothing else.
Did anybody? I know, Steve. I know you watched MLW Battle Riot. Did anybody else watch it? I thought it was entertaining as hell.
It was, it's different concept. So pin submissions over the top rope is how you get eliminated. They were up to 17 guys before the first elimination.
Was it just one match?
It was, yeah.
Oh,
so it was like the Rumble.
Okay.
Yeah. They did some promo work beforehand and all that. Good stuff to set it up. Tremendous. I love seeing the tumbler black. Spinning the thing, reaching your hand in, pull it out, see what number you got. That's old school. I enjoyed that. A couple pops during the entrance themselves. Blue Meanie came out, which was tremendous because they were in the old ECW arena. So Blue Meanie got a huge pop. Kim Chi was the other huge pop, former manager of Kamala. And then Savio Vega pulled double duties in the Rumble. He not only came out as Savio Vega, but also came out as Wang.
I think my favorite part of the whole thing was whenever Contra was waterboarding somebody in the match. Cracked me up. Like, really?
Hey, they set somebody on fire in Battle Riot too. So I mean, that sticks with the gimmick. Obviously, the right man won. Hammerstone won. They've been telling that story. So now he gets his title shot against Jacob Fatu whenever he wants. That's been the big head-to-head collision course that they've been building to. Interesting enough, MLW will be going off of YouTube.
Yeah, we'll see what they do, but I'm not real happy about that.
Court Bauer said it will be positive because I know a lot of people were tweeting him about the decision. He said, "Don't worry, it will be positive news whenever we release it." So they'll be back in the fall with episodes again. So
they're doing a new fusion. It's supposed to be like a substitute show in the meantime. I forget
Yeah,
what
in the
they're calling
meantime,
it,
but
yeah.
yeah. So we'll see where they land and end up. But
Are they coming off YouTube altogether, or they're just taking a break?
That's the way it sounds. They're
Yeah.
coming off YouTube altogether.
yeah. So we'll see. But that's it for wrestling. I don't got nothing else.
No, that's time to drink.
Chug, 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 chug.
All right, this week's drink of the week segment is drinking while on cold medicine, which I'll be doing here shortly. Don't know how that'll work out for me in the long run, but as a true aficionado, I will gladly step up to the plate and take one for the team here and drink while I'm feeling under the weather.
Things make it interesting in sports.
This week we're doing Founders Brewery Breakfast Stout. It's a double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout. It is 8.3% alcohol. The Coffee Lovers consummate beer brewed with an abundance of flaked oats, bitter and imported chocolates, and 2 types of coffee. So
It looked like chocolate pouring out of here.
yeah, that's a really dark stout.
Yeah.
I liked it just because of the label.
Everything you said says 1.
Well, I know this wasn't for you, just like your high C punch beer next week won't be for me. But
Did you drink the Blue Moon?
I had that before, so yeah,
Okay.
I knew what that was all about.
You didn't want to warn anybody?
No, I wanted you guys to experience it. It's not terrible, but I was expecting more flavor out of that
Yeah.
than what it gave you.
Yes, that was
It's
bad.
all right. I would smell this, but I can't really smell. Like my nose is so stuffy right now. I don't know
It
if
smells like a coffee stout.
Absolutely. Jason's gonna hate this.
Oh, I do. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hold up now. Hold up.
That surprises me that you like this, Donald.
Hmm.
Because you're not a coffee person either.
No.
That's delicious.
Mm-hmm.
That is delicious.
If you were a coffee drinker, this is all you.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I can wake up and drink this while I'm eating, pancakes and bacon in the morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm all in on this. I got nothing bad to say about this. This is a very, very good beer for me. 8.3% alcohol. These will get you rocked. Don't mind Jay. Anything that doesn't involve Crystal Light, the dude doesn't like. Around the horn here. Around the horn here, 1 to 5 sumo scales. What do you guys got for the Founders Double Chocolate Breakfast Stout?
Give it a 1.1 because the bottle is small and made it quicker to finish.
That's what she said.
I got nothing on that one. Really like this. I'm actually surprised for being a double chocolate. I'm not getting as much of the chocolate flavor. It's definitely the coffee is there, which I'm not surprised to being a breakfast stout, but good beer, good flavor. I'm enjoying this. This is right up my alley. So I'm gonna go.
It's not heavy either.
No. When it was pouring out of there, I was expecting a really heavy beer.
For as dark as it is, like looking at that beer next to your shirt, it's the same exact color.
Oh yeah,
it is dark.
It's a very dark beer. It looks like it'd be a lot heavier than what it is. I'm gonna go 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll go solid 4 on this for myself too.
As always, I'm not a stout drinker and I don't like coffee at all. But for some reason, this is going down very smooth and I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I have to go with you guys. This is a 4. This
all
is really.
fabrications.
I mean, this is really good. I enjoy this. I'm not sure because I like Newcastle too that this tastes something like it almost. So, but yeah, I really like this.
I mean, I drink my coffee with cream and sugar, and it kind of makes me like, okay, I just need some cream and sugar in here, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, probably because it's not heavy for me.
Yeah.
So it's just going down smoother. But I like this a lot.
I think the different chocolates that they use mix very well with the coffee. Like it's not just milk chocolate and one coffee bean. You know what I mean? Like there's multiple flavors in here, and they all balance out very well with each other.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
So,
man, I'm shocked at myself for saying that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm good with that. So solid fours around the board, except for Jay, but his opinion doesn't matter because he doesn't like beer. So with that, we ask that you raise your glasses, brown paper bags, red and blue solo cups, and to good ships and wood ships and ships that sail the seas. The best ships are friendships, and friends will always be. This week in sports, the big thing obviously going on was Simone Biles stuff with the Olympics and mental health and the twisties, which if you're not familiar with the twisties, it's like the yips in golf or the Chuck Knobloch in baseball where you forget how to throw a ball from second base to first base.
Yeah.
And a lot of opinions were expressed on this situation throughout the week, whether it was in friend circles, people on Facebook, every sports media outlet was covering it across the board, everybody giving their takes. Like I said on this show before, somebody that has dealt with mental health stuff and anxiety and panic attacks for several years now, I'll never question anybody's word when they come out and say that they're dealing with something mentally, because I know how your brain works when things get going a certain way, and how it's hard to turn stuff off in the various directions and thoughts and everything else and self-doubt, whatever comes into it. Simone, given her age, even though she's 24, the things that she's gone through in her life, given the sexual molestation stuff that she dealt with, and being a whistleblower on that and being abused with that, to being just an Olympic and gymnastic prodigy, to being considered the greatest gymnast of all time, to having the goalpost move anytime she goes out to compete, because she does stuff that on a difficulty wise is way above and beyond the other competitors. And I know Chris, your sister, put out stuff on Facebook explaining, her thoughts and the scoring and moving the goalpost and all that stuff. I have no problem doing what she did. People were slamming her, saying she's a bad teammate. You can't call yourself the GOAT if you're going to get on the biggest stage and turn your back on your team. To me, I thought she exemplified everything of what a teammate is. And there's videos of her with audio before the team competition and the stuff that she said to her teammates and telling them, I can't do it for you guys. Mentally, I'm not here, and you guys are all going to step up and knock it out of the park, and you guys have been training your asses off for this for your entire life, so go out there and do what you know how to do. And to me, that is the ultimate teammate. So those are just my thoughts on it. Announcement was made last night that she's not going to compete in the vault or the uneven bars. She did post a video of her trying to work on the uneven bars, and that she's still not there mentally, and you could see it with what she put out. And there's been a lot of gymnasts that come out to her defense. And Dominique, I'm going to mispronounce the last name, but
Mociani
or Mocianu. She was, Simone before Simone. Like that was one of the prodigies back then, and she, you know, talked about her experience and with the twisties and everything else, and showed the horrific video of her smacking her head off the balance beam and having to get back up and do it again, and not being able to say, like, no, mentally I'm not here, I can't do this mentally. And you know, for that, you know, I just think people, the bashers of her in this situation, I don't feel is warranted.
I wouldn't bash her on this. I think I give her credit for knowing that she wasn't in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
And knowing that instead of putting her ego first and going out there and trying to be, you know, the Olympic medalist Simone Biles and trying to do something, maybe even bring the team down, she knew she's not there. Let the team handle it, do their thing. Yeah, it's so many people have come out with this pandemic and talked about how it's affected their mental health, and you know, still being in the pandemic here and then over there, how much worse it is, and they're still kind of being, you know, kind of quarantined in their areas and stuff. It's still different over in Japan right now, and that whether or not that's playing with her, who knows? But I give her credit for deciding to take a step back.
I'm okay with what she did. Do what's best for you. Like I always say, do what's best for you. Don't listen to anybody else or whatever. Like, yeah, you.
Suni Lee. What happened?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's
Put
not
another star on the stage.
right. Yeah, and somebody else who has a just an amazing backstory with her father and everything, and that whole story with him being paralyzed and everything else. Like, I just don't know. I think the modern day athlete that stands up and says, I'm not going to do this because of my mental health. And we've seen it with Kyrie in basketball. We see Kevin Love come out and talk about it. You know, other athletes are stepping up and saying stuff. The old school individual and the old school athlete, or that played sports, even whenever we were growing up, they can't comprehend that aspect.
No.
I saw a lot of that this week, to where it's like, oh, well, Jordan would never do this, or, you know, if LeBron did this, he would get killed, or like, it's just, you know.
Did you see what Jordan had to say?
I didn't see what Jordan said.
About having to live in the social media age.
And that's the other thing that's
They
the other
made
thing
it.
that's not factored into it. They didn't have to deal with that, so that's the other thing too.
How many friends on your timeline threaten to delete their account or unfollow people in a mass because they can't handle it, and we want to judge people who have to deal with this on a daily basis and perform at a high level in the Olympics.
Right.
It's
It's a whole new set of circumstances and things that weren't factored into that athlete's mindset back in those days. So you can't compare the two. To me, it's apples and oranges. So yeah, that's what I mean. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah.
What have you guys been watching? What have you enjoyed so far with the Olympics?
I was watching trampoline this morning and it was fucking unbelievable.
I haven't watched that yet.
trampoline sport.
No,
Yeah, it's been around for a bit.
Yeah, it's been around.
It's been around.
It's a big rectangular trampoline, and these motherfuckers are flipping 25, 30 feet in the air.
In the air doing the flips and stuff.
Like it is unbelievable to watch.
I've watched it in the past. I just haven't watched it for this year's yet.
But they have to land in the box on an X.
The
if you land
trampoline
outside the box, you get points deducted.
Yeah, the trampoline's marked off, and there's a big square in the middle, and then they get, like Donald said, you're judged. And these dudes are flipping from one side to the other and everything else. Like, the amount of body control it takes when you have that much momentum and you're flipping that high in the air, like, for these dudes to stay in the specific area and land shit is just unbelievable to me.
Now imagine me, as you guys know, complaining about anybody in that situation. I want to step away. The guy The guy who tore ligaments. My muscle shut down on me. On a trampoline park.
I've enjoyed so much of this week. The only one that I watched, I think it was like earlier in the week, and I just couldn't get into it, was the skateboarding. Like that really didn't do anything for me.
See, I think the BMX. I watched BMX last night. That was good. The skateboarding event that I watched, it was like they were doing like one trick.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like a a full routine or whatever.
It wasn't like the half pipe or anything like that. It was just.
I know ratings have been down. I didn't, the whole like, oh, we're gonna put the men's basketball on Peacock and you got to pay to watch it.
That was
like,
don't even get me started with that. Because I was watching the game this morning on Peacock and the whole fourth quarter turned off. Peacock shut down on the fourth quarter.
You got to watch the fourth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the fourth quarter at all.
You got to put a token
because
in.
Peacock was messed up.
Continue playing.
Gosh, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna get Peacock off of the streaming network. It is terrible.
He didn't hit his checkpoint and his time ran out.
Because I thought my TV died and all that stuff. So I'm like flipping through the TV and I'm like, hold up, everything's working. No, it was the Peacock app. What's like?
Yeah, that's Peacock's been terrible. We've talked about that with wrestling shows, and it's just been.
And then the basketball is exclusively Peacock, except for the gold medal game.
Yeah, that's trash. No, I mean ratings have been down across the board, but I think what hurts the Olympics is that there's no fans there.
Yes, it really hurts. Mm-hmm.
But like I was watching track and field last night, and man, watching the women do the 100-meter hurdles, I'm like, this is unbelievable. Like, I mean, listen, no matter what event it is, it's the best individuals from around the world competing in that event. So you have to give everybody their props. Doesn't matter. I felt really bad last night. So the 100-meter hurdles for the men, they did prelims this year. So they had like runners were already in the main heats for we're already in, and then they had these prelims where I think if you finished first or second, you got put into
those heats,
the qualifying heats, to go for a medal, which is a nice way to get everybody to be able to say, hey, I actually competed in an Olympic event, right?
Yeah.
Well, there was an 18-year-old from, I want to say Cambodia, maybe. I could be wrong on the country, but he had a false start in the prelim, and because he had a false start, he got disqualified. And the commentators were like, hey, this is like developmental stuff. This is like, for these races, maybe we shouldn't be enforcing that to the strictest of the rules of the law. Like, let these guys race, you know what I mean? But it was just heartbreaking to see him just so he had the false start, and then the guy walks over in front of him and holds up this big red card to let him know, hey, you're done, and puts like this red X thing on top of his number for his lane. And just to see this 18-year-old kid who worked so hard to get there to not even be able to run a race, the emotion that came across him, it was just like,
they can't just pull you off. They just had to
couldn't imagine doing that.
Hit you with the America Got Talent X, and
so that's the Olympics take in and of itself. All right, baseball trade deadline passed. A lot of movement here. A lot of big time players. This year, the trade deadline, I believe there was 10 or 12 All-Stars from this year's All-Star game got traded at the deadline. Most number of All-Stars to be traded at the deadline ever in Major League Baseball history. The Yankees payroll is now 6 times that of the Pirates. The Dodgers payroll is now 5 times that of the Pirates. Well, yes, the moves are exciting because the big time players, the names that are moving teams is exciting, but Baseball has a huge problem. That payroll discrepancy.
Hey, but the Pirates got a young rookie coming up that's soon.
They've been saying it for years. Been saying it for years.
He'll get traded next year.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball need a hard salary cap.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of, and yesterday it came about even more, but there's been a lot of talks of labor stoppage during the next CBA because of this. I don't know. I don't know. It's just how baseball is. Like you gotta, if you're a Pirates fan, you just gotta know the fact that you have a very short window. Once, if you build up your farm system like the Astros did or like the Royals did that year, they won the World Series, Tampa Bay. Once if you hit on these players and draft picks and prospects and everything else, and you're able to get them all on your major league roster at one point in time and all the stars align and you make a run, that's all you're going to get. You're going to get that one season. You're going to get that one run. And then players will be traded. They'll leave for free, whatever the case may be. And it's a shame that there's a lot of teams around Major League Baseball that have to operate that way. But it's the nature of the sport, and it is what it is. And until they get a hard salary cap, I don't think there's any way to fix it.
I mean, it's kind of like when we talked about the MLB draft a few weeks ago, and that the Pirates were only going to pick someone that chose the lowest bonus. It's like they don't care about the quality of the player; they just care about the dollar value.
Well, they did have a really good draft. I'm not going to knock them for their draft. Charrington did really well in the draft. He got the first three picks in the first three rounds of the draft were all in the top 30 prospects coming into the draft. So they did a really good job of getting talent when they selected. And I think he's built up other organizations. So I'm going to give him a pass to let him work on this team and this organization top, bottom. It's just the fact that he has to do it from top to bottom. He came in with nothing. The cupboard was completely empty. So, yes, it's going to take a couple of years. Yes, we've been hearing that as Pirates fans. We're sick of rebuilding and everything else and all this other stuff. But given his track record and what he's done at other organizations, I'm going to let him get a couple years and build this up and then see what they actually turn out on a major league product.
When you say about that salary cap, they also have the excuse that big market teams aren't always winning the World Series.
Yeah,
well, that's the thing. That's the thing that they'll put to.
Yeah.
That's the thing that they'll put to. They'll put. Oh, well, the Rays were in the World Series last year, and they were like second lowest payroll in the majors.
Yeah, look at the Yankees payroll.
Yeah,
like the biggest ever, and they haven't been there in a while. But who cares about the Yankees? So
they can always fall back on that. That's the bad part.
Whatever. Baseball's so messed up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Is that NFL? Gosh, Thursday, Hall of Fame game. It's back. Football is back. Hall of Fame game. Steelers Cowboys Thursday. Saturday's the enshrinement for the class of 2020. Sunday's the enshrinement for the class of 2021. Big, huge Steeler weekend. Not only are they playing in the game, but we got Bill Cowher going in. We got Troy Polamalu going in. There's another Steeler going in too.
Faneca,
and somebody else.
Donnie Shell.
Hey, we're gonna cover this in the outro, but I just got an alert. WWE just released Bray Wyatt.
I'll give my thoughts on that in the outro.
Yeah, we'll cover that in the outro.
Yes, a huge Steeler weekend coming up in the Hall of Fame. Troy Polamalu posted on his Instagram that he recently tested positive for COVID. So he's working with the NFL to see about protocols and everything else. He said that he is hopeful that he will be able to attend this weekend. Hopefully he does. You'd hate to see that happen.
Yeah.
And him not get his moment. I know he was leading off. They put out the schedule of the speakers, and he was going to be the first speaker on Sunday, and Cower was going to be the last speaker. So bookended by Steelers.
Especially since he waited too. He had to wait a year.
Yeah. So Canton will be black and gold this weekend.
Speaking of Steeler fans, Steeler fans, they were oohing and ahhing because Harris had a 12-yard run at practice on his first snap. Come on now. It's practice.
Hey.
It's practice.
Hey, anytime you get Big Hoskins up there moving people and we run the ball, Pittsburgh Steelers fans are going to cheer.
Hey, for a 12-yard run in practice.
Did you see the catch he had?
No, I didn't see the catch.
He had this catch. He ran a wheel route out of the backfield or whatever, and it was just during drills, right? So like, take it for what it's worth. But he had this catch where he jumped up in the air, full single arm extension, and like caught the ball with these three fingers.
Some gloves. Gloves make magic.
I'm excited for football to come back.
I am too.
You know, that we'll get into our predictions and we'll break down
I'll be excited in September.
We'll break down the divisions and everything else and all that as we get closer into the season. But just knowing that football is back on Thursday night, like I'm excited for that. So,
NFL talk. Aaron Rodgers, that whole situation, him calling out just damn near everybody in the front office.
Yeah. Organization rip. Hey, listen, everybody says, athletes don't ever tell the truth and all they do is speak in cliches. He got up there and delivered the most.
But again, it wasn't another scathing. You want WWE promo. You want a promo when you
but
you see those guys.
Hey, he shot the shit and gave it to you straight.
He did.
Whether you like him or not, I mean, he told you exactly his feelings and reasons as to why everything was the way that it was. So,
especially when
you want to hear brothers in there and all that.
Especially when he said Green Bay's not a vacation destination. They come to play with me. Like, damn. The naming all the players that left. He said that they shouldn't have left. Like, yeah, you could. I'm gonna try that with my boss and see how that works.
Be a one-man team.
So what other sports news? Fleury got traded to the Blackhawks.
Yeah,
that was messed up.
I wasn't expecting that at all.
No, but not for them not to even discuss it with anything, with his agent, with him. That's messed up.
Yeah, was not expecting.
Yeah.
And then everybody in Pittsburgh saying come back here and all that stuff. How's the way the Penguins could trade for him and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, do we even got picks and all that stuff to trade?
And he wouldn't even be the main goalie anyways. So it's
no, he wouldn't.
Worth bringing him back for the money that it would be.
Is George still the main goalie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
As for now, yes.
Yeah. So you got the guy that they traded from Chicago to the Vegas has said that he's not sure about his career. And then Fleury's now said the same thing. I got to talk to my family about my career.
So it was a lose-lose on everybody.
Wash.
Yeah, lose on both situations.
Yeah.
Hey, now it's not the time to play with athletes. Still walk away from anything.
Yeah.
Heartbeat.
Yes,
like, hey,
yes, they will.
I don't need this shit.
And then, you never know. I mean, maybe he does walk away, and then maybe there's a team that he wants to play for that picks him back up, another season or so. So I did see Penn's coach Mike Sullivan was named the head coach for the 2022 men's Olympic hockey team.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting to see what he can do with them.
Mm-hmm.
Losing the first round like the Penguins have done the last 3 years.
That. And the only last thing that I had for sports was Texas and Oklahoma formally took the invitation for the SEC. So they'll be joining the SEC July 1st, 2025.
This is obviously going to lead to super conferences, right?
Of course.
I mean, the Big 12's dead.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know. Like they can't poach. I don't. They were talking about maybe taking like Cincinnati and
Yeah, teams from Conference USA.
big. It's gonna lead to like 4 conferences.
So can teams move up?
Teams can move up if they want to, like
From Division
Division
2.
Two and
Yeah.
stuff.
No.
No.
Oh, it's enrollment, right?
It got certain parameters that classify you as D1, D2.
Enrollment. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So no, you can't. You can't have North Dakota State just automatically say, okay, we're going to be D1 now. So it'll. This is plain and simple a money grab.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, it is. It's all that TV money. That's it.
You want to join the beach break? The breaks beat off you.
No, there was Dan Lebitard's show. They covered this really well the other day because John Skipper was on and he founded the Longhorn Network and the SEC Network and was explaining the money and the contracts and everything else. So like Texas coming into the SEC does nothing from a TV rights deal because they already have Texas A&M. So you don't get any additional money because you already have one Texas school in your conference. So you don't get no more distribution rights or anything else for the state of Texas. However, adding Oklahoma, you get all of Oklahoma now. So Texas and Oklahoma going to SEC will give them an extra, say, $30 million a year, $40 million a year, just by joining the SEC. So, yeah, it's all money grab. I don't, tradition in college football is dead. They don't.
Yes, it is.
It's gone, dude. Once geography stopped mattering, it's all about money and where you can get. So we'll see how it all shapes out in the years to come. But I think you're going to end up with like 4 16-team conferences, which will give you 64 total. And then you go from there. So again, back to the name, image, and likeness. This like.
Our players are getting paid, so are we.
These 4 conferences, you break away from the NCAA, you do your own thing.
Yep. What's an alternative?
But yeah, I know.
That's definitely an alternative. Whatever the Pac-12, SEC, ACC, and Big Ten, they're going to break off and just make their own super league.
Now, how does that work across sports altogether? Like, I know you can be in different sports and different leagues, but
like Notre Dame, for example, everything except for football is in the ACC.
Everything else
football.
They're no longer independent.
They're still independent in football because of the money that NBC gives them. Now, Notre Dame is going to be the interesting one here because it's like they're going to be forced at some point that they're going to have to join a conference. Because then they run the risk of being left out. So obviously it makes sense them going into ACC. They were a part of the ACC last year because of COVID, and they made the ACC championship game and everything else. And because all their other sports are already in the ACC, it would just make sense for them to shift over, join the ACC. But yeah, who knows?
With their football before COVID, when they were independent, when they joined the ACC, they had to at least play 6 ACC opponents, and then the rest schedule who they want to.
All right.
So that was their agreement with the conference whenever they moved all their other teams over there. So that's what they live by since they moved over. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna have to force Notre Dame into a conference.
We'll get into more of this as we get closer to football breaking off here. But I don't know if I had anything else major.
I'm good on sports.
All right. Well, since I didn't join the world-renowned, world-famous One Gotta Go last week, I'll let you guys have a week of winning, which you thought was a winning week for each one of you. But I'm back this week to reclaim my crown as I normally do. So let's get into the greatest game known to man. One gotta go.
All right, Steve. So last week, since you weren't here, we did highest grossing films of Star Wars.
I saw.
What's your one gotta go out of that?
I've never watched Star Wars. I've never watched Harry Potter. I've never watched James Bond. I haven't watched a single movie from start to finish from any of those three franchises. So as far as I'm concerned, any one of those three franchises can go. And I don't really care.
And you, my friend, lost.
Not by the Twitter polls that we ran. I did not lose.
All the polls that we ran, the people spoke, and Star Wars got to go.
So yeah. So there you go, Jay. Stick that up your ass.
All right, so Steve, this
You're
week
holding on to Bucks and Six.
Buck if you buck. Yeah, let's go. Might be the greatest shirt ever. I'm gonna need one of these. So this week's one gotta go for me. I came up with this one. Boys in the Hood, Juice, Menace to Society, or Higher Learning. Which one gotta go? This is going to cause some issues around the neighborhood. Who wants to?
You can't just bring this one on us.
We should
have had this in pre-production.
No time. No. Off the top. Let's go. What you got? Who wants to tackle it first?
Out of this list, I would have to pick Higher Learning. Gotta go. Just because the other three movies, they deal with a lot of gang stuff. Like street gang issues, stuff from the street. Higher Learning is on like the social up and up. So that has to go for me between.
But higher learning with the social, the race dynamic, all like. Okay, you say higher learning,
which is in Boys in the Hood, but it's not in Menace to Society.
I'm going with Menace to Society. That got to go for me out of this list.
I've seen Menace to Society fully like one time, I do believe. But I'm taking Juice off this list.
Oh, that's going to get heat.
I know the reason why.
This is the baby boy of VH1 HBO. This is the Harry Potter of current TV. It was on every freaking channel. VH1, MTV, HBO.
You just compared.
It was a standard
baby
to be on. And I've seen so much Juice. Not watched it, but every time you turn it, you see Pac's oblong haircut. Yeah, you got to go. I done seen enough Juice clips in my life to be done with it.
Wow. I thought you were gonna kick it off because you don't like Pac.
I didn't know. Hey, I don't know Pac.
I wasn't expecting that to be your answer.
Much like a couple weeks ago.
Pegged.
That's a whole different show and one we won't cover.
Much like a couple weeks ago, this is not my wheelhouse. I've never watched any of these movies.
Who could have went first?
Hey, go out in the sun. Go out in the sun and get some color, and then watch some of these movies.
I have three of them on
everybody's
DVD.
Picked everything. I'll be the different one. I'll just take Boys in the Hood off just because.
Chris, you cut them off. Cut them off.
We each have one for that reason. So.
Oh man!
Oh gosh!
So find him at Chris Jones on all social media.
Hey, look, Chris. Look out for all red cars driving past you. Ricky!
Yeah.
Don't walk down no alleyways. You just
And don't eat at no hamburger stand.
He just pulled a rabbit out of the hat and said, "Oh, I'm gonna pick Boys in the Hood." Meanwhile, I think that would probably, if I'm looking at this list, I would say majority of the people, and we'll know when we put this up on the polls.
Yeah.
I would say majority of the people are keeping Boys in the Hood on.
Oh yes.
Chris gonna show up next week like Crazy Legs.
To me, the wild card on this list and the one that I put on here, because I thought most people would get it off, but it's one of the better movies on this list. Higher Learning.
It's a different.
Higher Learning still tackles all those things. It just takes it away from the streets and the gang culture and applies it to the dynamics on a college campus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking black, white, you're talking rape, you're talking like there's so many issues that are covered in that movie. And plus, it got Tyra Banks in it, and I was a Tyra Banks mark growing up. So
you could have put South Central on this list.
That's what I was thinking.
With OG Bobby Johnson.
Yeah.
I thought about doing that, honestly. Like, I was gonna have Boys in the Hood, Juice, Menace Society, and South Central, but then I was like, well, I'm gonna put something on there that's at least a little bit of a curveball.
Yeah.
That'll get people thinking, not just automatically, oh, I'm gonna take Higher Learning off, but thinking, go, okay, well, damn, Higher Learning really did cover some shit. Like
it did. It did. It's just on a different plane for me.
If I'm ranking these four, as far as I know, I said Menace to Society off the list for me, but if I'm ranking these four as far as me personally, what I like the best, I go Boys in the Hood 1, Higher Learning 2, Juice 3, and Menace to Society 4. As far as my favorites.
ADBC for me.
The same thing Steve said.
Yeah, I'm still taking Juice off the list.
And can we get some respect for Omar Epps to be the only actor athlete to get 3 full-time scholarships in 3 different sports? Can we have some love for Omar Epps? Track and field, football, and basketball. He got 3 full-ride scholarships in 3 different sports. The greatest actor athlete of all time.
You call him better Bundy?
He got football was the program, loving basketball was basketball, and then track and field was Higher Learning. 3 full rides in 3 different sports. I feel better now. I came back. I reestablished myself. I put the crown back on my head. The king is home.
Your voice done cleared up a bit. Look at you.
Voice cleared up a little bit. That's the beer working its way through the system. I damn near finished it. I got a little sip left. All right. So with that being said, hit us up on social medias. Let us know what you think one got to go this week, what we got right, what we got wrong. And by all means, that guy up in the upper right-hand corner, I
don't care.
We need a shirt that says, "This is not my wheelhouse." That'll be Chris's shirt.
Now Chris knows what I go through whenever comedy movies pop up.
This is very true.
Expand your horizons, man. Branch out. See some different stuff. All right, final thoughts. Let's go.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning to episode 48 of the Dumb Marks podcast. Let me borrow Donald.
I have 3 to 4, so
I'm going to see you a little bit. Just let me borrow. Maybe I'll watch them this week, then give my take next week.
Yeah, that'll be your homework for the show. Go back and watch those 4 movies.
Make sure you guys follow us on all our social media. Dumb Marks Pod on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Every week you'll get notifications when we go live, especially hit our YouTube page and subscribe. You can buy our merch at ProWrestlingTees.com/DumbMarksPod. Buy the logo, buy our After Dark, or buy the One Gotta Go shirt. Even though I'm probably gonna get heat for this week, still buy the One Gotta Go shirt. As I said in sports, Bray Wyatt got released just a little bit ago from WWE.
So there were pictures of him recently. Looking good, looking healthy. I know he's been off TV. He's had from what's been reported, he's had a really hard time dealing with the passing of Brody Lee, of John Hubbard, one of his closest friends. and he, was taking time off. I think this is good for Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
There wasn't much more he could have done in WWE at this point. He's reinvented himself so many damn times. The way they've started him, everything else, like, to me, it was all right. You need a breakaway. Do I think he's one of these people that will go away and come back to the WWE eventually? Yes. But who knows? He may not have the love and the passion for the business anymore. We have not heard anything out of Bray Wyatt, so we really don't know exactly what's going on with him. Hopefully, he's in the right headspace and everything's good. I know he has young kids, so like I'm okay with him. If this is it, then that's it. But from a character standpoint, from a performer standpoint, would I like to see Bray Wyatt back in pro wrestling at some point in time? Absolutely. Where he ends up doesn't really matter because I like the performer that much. The fact that he went from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt, and the reiterations of Bray Wyatt. The Fiend was the hottest character in wrestling until it got drafted to Raw.
Yeah.
So take that for what you will. But yeah, best to him moving forward. Hopefully he pops up somewhere. Don't know where it would be, but hopefully we see him back in a wrestling ring at some point in time.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
I mean,
hope so.
He didn't deserve. Who knows if this is probably a personal release, not so much of a creative has nothing for you release. Because right now there's nobody else that they've done. If there are more releases today, we'll see. Maybe that is the case, but right now I agree. I'd say this is probably more of a personal. What do you do with Alexa now? Do you continue the character, or do you end this now? Or?
She's taking that character and ran with it on her own, anyways.
It don't matter.
Like even with him at WrestleMania, her version of that character was completely different.
Yeah,
she broke away from him at that point in time, so she's doing her own thing with it. Now, how long they decide to continue it, I don't know. But when I think of Alexa now, I don't think of her and the Fiend. Like, to me, she's her own character at this point, doing whatever she is that she does with it. So
I think I'll always connect the two together, just because of it. But I agree that she has gone on her own more, especially after WrestleMania. But, it'll just be interesting to see what they do with her now, with him not around. Like, period. Like, there's not that chance of him coming back right now.
But then again, you don't have that. You don't have that Thunderdome element. Like, you really worked with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Thunderdome, one of the things that I had in the final thoughts was Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward for return of missing items from the Thunderdome.
Is it the same one that busted in like a few weeks ago?
I don't know, but I just thought that was funny that
Crime
Stoppers. Dude, I didn't know Crime Stoppers still exist.
Couple other quick hitters for me. Upper Deck is releasing trading cards for AEW this fall.
Good luck finding them.
So AEW getting into the world of trading cards, which is cool. I know WWE had them for a while. I believe they still do. I think they were Tops.
I think so.
Yeah, Upper Deck with that. And then my highlight this week, and I meant to bring it up in sports, but the NBA draft was on Thursday, and Terrence Clark, formerly of Kentucky, passed away tragically in a car accident at 19. The NBA on the draft Thursday night drafted him into the NBA. He would have been a first round pick. He was set to come out into the draft this year, but his mother, his sister, and his young brother were there, and they got to hear his name being drafted into the NBA, and he walked up on stage and got to put on the NBA hats, just like the players put on the team hats when their name's called and that. So just an all-around feel-good moment for a very sad and tragic situation. And I thought the NBA handled it beautifully and did it really well. So kudos to them. Prayers and thoughts goes out to his family, and that 19 is way too young for anybody to pass away, but it's somebody that had a bright future such as his. Makes it not harder to swallow, but the thought of what could have been is always there. It's there with any young person that passes away, but somebody that already had their dreams about to become realized since they were however years old, and hearing their name called, the fact that he got to hear his name called was a tremendous honor. I thought the NBA handled it very, very poetically. Anybody got anything else?
Yeah, I'll just go over a couple of quick things. We were talking about Peacock before. That's not going anywhere. This week, Peacock announced they now have 54 million subscribers, and they're going to be rolling out internationally, starting with Sky Satellite in Europe. So I don't know if this is going to be, if WWE content especially is going to continue on internationally with them, or if they'll still do the network, but we'll have to see more for that. But even for WWE and Peacock, WWE's continuing on with it. They don't really give a shit with all the issues, because they said Backlash viewers were up 26%, Hell in a Cell was up 25%, and Money in the Bank viewers were up 46% from the WWE network.
Wow.
So it is not going anywhere.
DraftKings joins forces with Sports and Social to create DraftKings branded sports bars around the country. The first cities will be Nashville and Detroit. So
Interesting.
yeah, wonder if you'll get like not like you have the sports books at the casinos. I wonder if you'll be able to do like live betting while you're in the restaurant and that. Be interesting to see how that pans out. But
and I'll be there in your pockets.
That was interesting there. Kyrie Irving's foundation built a solar water center in Pakistan. Centers providing over 1,000 villagers across Pakistan with clean water. So shout out to Kyrie and his foundation. And then the trailer for the Venus and Serena Williams movie just dropped. It's called King Richard, and Will Smith is playing Venus and Serena's father. The movie looks really good.
I saw the
good.
King Richard trailer was released. I didn't know what that was about, so I might have to go back and take a look at that now.
Yeah, it looks really good there. And then I don't think there's anything else. LeBron was the first NBA player to earn $1 billion in career earnings. And the Detroit Lions, Matt Campbell, their new head coach, first season, first training camp as Lions head coach. He may have had the description of the week when describing his team starting out in their first week of training camp. He says, we're big, we're long, and we look strong. We look explosive. So, more of an After Dark quote. But
and still going 0-17.
Yeah. I don't know what I think the over under on wins for the Lions is like 4.5. So you may want to take the over. Yeah, that's it. Anybody got anything else before we wrap this up for this week?
I'm good.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with your favorite Saturday brunch bunch. I appreciate it. I apologize for the sound of my voice. Good to be back on the show. A lot of stuff coming up here in the upcoming weeks. Going to be a busy time getting back in the swing of thing, and we're not too far away from our 1-year anniversary episode. We got some good stuff planned for that. Again, as always, hit us up on all social media platforms. Let us know what you liked, didn't like. Email the show, dumbmarkspod@gmail.com. Go buy a shirt. We appreciate the support. And as always, I'll leave the show this week with a quote from Nick Saban, who said, mediocre people don't like high achievers, and high achievers don't like mediocre people. So with that, you're a Mark, I'm a Mark, tell a Mark. And until next time, y'all can catch us around the way.